Now let's speak to Behnam Ben Taleblu, Iran Program Senior Director at the Foundation for the Defence of Democracies. Thank you for joining me. We heard, of course, President Trump making some fairly controversial, fairly incendiary comments about regime change. How do you think this is likely being viewed by the country's leaders in Tehran?
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you. Those comments, I believe, came a little over 24 hours ago on a social media account that the president had shared views on, essentially talking about making Iran great again, but through the prism of regime change, if this regime was certainly not capable of it. And indeed, when one looks at the pattern of boom and bust cycles of anti-regime protests in Iran from 2017 to present, it certainly does look like the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran has been squandering the national interests and is incapable of it. But what President Trump has been doing much more recently has been dealing with the military and security threat, trying to log roll the military successes of both Israel over the past week or so, as well as with the U.S. counterproliferation strike against those three nuclear facilities, to try to push the Islamic Republic into a corner, basically to force it to take the knee, to allow it to do something performative, and then from there try to build, try to really establish building blocks for a better regional order, and really push past the commentary seen in that tweet.
I'd be interested to get your take on what I was speaking with the previous guest about whether or not this is a huge devastation to the nuclear program in Tehran, whether or not it has been, quote unquote, totally obliterated, and if that's what this kind of potentially symbolic attack on the US airbase signifies, or if there is still a lot in their arsenal.
Well, there's a lot in the arsenal in terms of the long-range strike capabilities and the short-range ballistic missiles that the Islamic Republic fired at these U.S. bases recently, probably about half of any publicly available estimate, whether you're using an older U.S. government number or more recent Israeli Air Force or defense number. But when it comes to Iran's nuclear program, the threat is not necessarily at the facilities anymore, because the Israelis and the Americans have gone after labs, centrifuge production facilities, enrichment facilities, and the Israelis also have gone after the scientists as well. The question is, did the Iranians divert or squirrel away fissile material before or after the strikes at any one of these three locations that the U.S. has hit, basically establishing an intelligence game of cat and mouse, whereby the U.S. and the Israelis can flatten anything, but the Iranians may still have some of that very dangerous, highly enriched uranium. Now, the flip side of that is, if you see the glass half full, that they may have that uranium, but all they can really do with it is bargain for their survival, because there's no place to enrich it. They don't have the machines or the capacity anymore. And the glass half empty is, yes, well, they can bargain for their survival, and that Washington has over-focused on the counter-proliferation problem and missed the forest through the trees, which is the proliferation threat is just one part of a much larger counter-regime threat.
And just very briefly before I let you go, because we don't have long left on the program, we understand from Reuters that sped up the search for a new supreme leader. Can you give us a sense of what the future of Iranian leadership looks like?
Well, ideally, in an ideal world, again, I'll stress this because the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran is not a representative political system. Ideally, it would have, the views, values, and interests of the Iranian population reflected therein. But both the Reuters story as well as the New York Times story talking about, 2 to 3 potentially pre-named successors of the Islamic Republic, those are actually, in my view, stabilization measures. I believe those were leaks intentionally given to Western outlets to not talk about the 3 big issues that would be apparent after the military defeats the Islamic Republic suffered, which are potential for revolution, devolution, or evolution.